Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. I'm ever a really cool event. It's called the Sig Hunter Games. And yeah, I know it's a play on the Hunger Games. We get that, okay? But it's pretty darn cool. We're up at, 85,000 feet, it feels like when I walk around. That's actually 8,000 feet. We're joined by Daniel Horner, Patrick Hanley from SIG. Hey, guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate that.
All right, so Daniel, of course, multi-time national champion, three-gun champion, rifle champion. Shotgun champion. What was that?
Oh, we shot a IPSC national championship in Oklahoma a while back and ended up winning it. So yeah.
And when you're not doing that, you're hunting ducks.
Yes.
The serious stuff, right?
Yeah, real business.
That's right. What's your dog's name?
Zeus.
Yes. Some people show kid pictures, and then some people show you their dog pictures. So last night you're showing me all these pictures of your dog. I love that.
Oh yeah, he's great.
That's pretty cool. All right, so we're in this incredible space out here. A beautiful lodge at the Queen Mountain Guest Ranch, and we'll be talking a bit more about that later. But you brought a bunch of people out, and they'll all be arriving actually while we're on the air here. What is the Sig Hunter Games, and how did that come about?
It was something we've been talking about for a couple of years since we started the hunting program, and really what it is we'd seen all these archery events that have been occurring nationwide, the Total Archery Challenge and all these things, and we didn't feel like there was something that was like that for the firearms community. And we wanted to have it be something that we could go and do on a smaller scale to see how it would go, to maybe eventually someday have something like that in the future, hint, hint. But
scale it up.
Yeah,
okay.
So we came up with this idea, and we started saying, okay, if we were going to do it on a smaller scale, how would we do it? Well, we wanted people to be able to see it and interact with it, and so we started talking about, do we bring in people who are social media active that are like bigger names? But the key to that was, like we talked about it, like we wanted people that were firearms enthusiasts and hunters, but not necessarily did it for a profession. So a lot of the people that came here, they're from different walks of life, whether it's the UFC community or motocross or whatever it is. They're people that come here from multiple different places in sports, but a lot of them are the best at what they do.
My impression is this is kind of an X Games for hunters, because it's going to be physically challenging out there, isn't it?
It is.
So what have you set up, Daniel?
So we've got a course that's about 7.3 miles long.
And it's all flat.
Oh, totally flat. Yeah, there's not one hill. No, I'm just kidding. Nothing to worry about.
Serious straight hills. Up and down stuff.
Yeah, there's some real walking to do. But we've got 11 stages laid out as we go through this. Most of them have, between 1 and 3 targets on them. So it's not a shooting competition in the sense that most people think about it. It's a hunting. We try to replicate hunting as best we could.
Okay.
So we've got photorealistic animals out there. We've got the actual scoring zone is the size of the vital area of that animal, and they're scaled to that animal.
Okay.
And then it's realistic hunting scenarios. So we've taken people into the woods. It's not you're not going to be shooting off a barricade or anything. It's out in the woods. You have a start point and an end point, and somewhere between those 2 points, you'll be able to locate the targets. And those 2 points could be 10 yards apart, or they could be 80 yards apart.
And when you say locate the targets, in many cases, they're hard to find. They're hard to see out there.
Patrick did his best Krylon work on some of them.
I haven't painted a duck boat in a long time, and I was so excited to do this. We got these things hidden pretty good.
I'm looking through the spot and scope. I'm like, Patrick, stop. I can't see it. It's gone.
When it becomes invisible, Patrick's happy. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Patrick goes 10% further, and then we're good.
Holy cow. So what kind of distances are we talking about for the shots?
We wanted to keep them at what we consider to be ethical ranges. Okay. So the furthest shot, we don't have anything really past 4. It might be something 406 or something, but it's right around that 400-yard range. With the calibers and everything that we're shooting, it should be a very ethical shot.
Speaking of, what are they shooting?
They're all going to be shooting cross rifles. We did this very specifically because we wanted it to be a true test of people's ability to learn to shoot and what they could do out there. So we didn't want it to be, hey, you bring your $10,000 gun and you bring your... So everything was done that everybody is getting across when they arrive here.
So they're all shooting the same gun.
Everybody's got the same gun, same caliber, same optic on the top, same rangefinder. Everyone is on a level playing field.
Now, what we haven't said yet, and I think it's actually one of the coolest parts, it's a team competition.
Correct. 3 per team, and these guys got to work together. It's not going to be something you can do alone.
Now, what do you mean they're working together? What are they doing?
So as Daniel said, the way he set up the targets, you're going to have a spotter helping you look for stuff, people looking to try to find the additional targets because you're on a timer of 15 minutes. You may have as many as 3 targets, and you can't be sitting around watching the other guy shoot when you haven't found the other 2 targets. So it's going to be a lot of teamwork.
So while you're shooting, your partners are glassing trying to find their other targets.
Yep.
Or helping you build a position to be able to engage that target or be able to get your range for that target.
All right, when you say build a position, because, I mean, there's some places where you might be shooting off a fence post.
It could be a fence post, a tripod. If you look at it, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys attack these targets because, you might be able to see the target from a position. You might be able to see the target through the scope in a position, but if you can't hold that target and actually be able to make the shot, you need to have the discipline and self-control to say, hey, this isn't good enough. I need a better position and move to some place that will allow that.
You might be able to hit a target at 300 yards offhand. Most of us cannot, all right? And which means if you look at it, say, I can see it, but I can't hold the gun on it, maybe, and I'm sure you positioned, okay, there's a thing here, there's a place, or maybe it's, I might be better off if I backed up 20 yards and found a better place back here to shoot from.
And that's exactly what we're trying to get out of these guys is if you're doing the right thing, you can be successful here. If you're just rushing through the shots and you're taking shots that you shouldn't take in this type of a hunting situation, you won't be able to hit the vital zone of the target, and you get no points.
Are they limited to the number of shots?
So they get 3 shots per. If they hit it on the first round, they get 3 points. If they hit on their second, they get 2 points. If they hit on their third, they get 1 point, and you shoot all 3 shots. So
you shoot 3 shots, so you could get 6.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
How does time factor into this? Is this a timed event?
So when we were setting this up, me and Patrick were looking at kind of the distance as we set this up, and kind of the thought was if the target's very difficult to find, it's maybe an easier shot, and if the target's easier to find, it's maybe a harder shot. So there should be a good balance if you utilize your time properly of finding the targets and building the positions that in that 15 minutes, if you divide it up and you divide the work up and you're smart about it, you should be able to get through that. But you're probably not going to have a whole lot of extra time.
And at the end, is it just purely the score on targets or is time factoring into that?
It's purely the score on targets.
Okay.
What we're doing here is they're going to get a full 15 minutes. And it's usually either 2 or 3 targets at a stage. So once they get to that stage, it'll be told to them how many targets are at the stage that they have to find. So once they have that, they have 15 minutes with 3 people. That's 9 shots per target.
So all 3 are shooting at each.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to end up to 27 shots in 15 minutes. So it won't be something that's going to be real quick, and they're going to have to kind of push on some of the harder stages.
It's a thinking game.
Yes,
it is.
It's not a run and gun.
Well, your chest is pumping as you walk up a hill and you get to your next target. So there's going to be certain ones where they're going to be kind of floating and just going fast to the next target, and it's downhill. But you go on an uphill and your heart's racing and you got a couple minutes where you got to start firing shots. It's
a little bit
tricky.
of biathlon kind of thinking here, right?
Yep.
Going fast doesn't help you if you can't hit the target. So you're going to have to measure and balance all of that stuff out.
Yep.
What caliber are they shooting?
6.5 Creedmoor.
Okay, well, that ought to be a piece of cake for them. Not much to that. And the cross rifle is fairly lightweight, which is going to help here.
It's very lightweight. They're going to be able to pack them in the morning. We have them folded and packed in the exo packs that we have. So they're going to have a nice concealed package that they can take out in the morning, set their pack down, and get everything set up. The stages that need tripods will have tripods. They'll all have a bipod. They got the pack to shoot off. So there's multiple ways that they can determine how they want to make each shot.
Patrick, as a professional shooter, what advice
I wish I was a professional shooter.
I'm
Tom.
sorry, Daniel. Sorry, I'm looking at Daniel.
It felt good when you said that, though. It was amazing.
He just stood up. He says, "All right, I'm over. I'm done now." Yeah. Daniel, as a professional shooter, what advice would you give somebody, which would apply to hunting as well, on how to make that shot?
So this type of stuff always comes down to discipline. The most disciplined teams that have a plan will do better. I guarantee it. It's the guys that have a plan and a process for locating the targets, and then have a plan and a process for the process of engaging that target, right? So build a stable position, get a decent wing call, get a proper range, and then break a good shot. And if you don't break a good shot, be honest with yourself and your teammates on where you broke that shot, so you can make a quick correction. And then knowing what your limitations are and making sure that you stay within those. And then stuff like this, it's way too hard to be perfect the whole time. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to screw stuff up, and you just need to be able to accept that. Like, hey, I'm going to make some mistakes. My teammates are going to make some mistakes. I'm going to hurt their score. They're going to hurt my score, and it's all going to be okay.
Just keep moving.
100%.
Yeah, because that's behind you. Every shot is history at that point.
It is, and if you have that honest conversation, before I'd go shoot sniper competitions, I'd look at my partner Tyler Payne. I'd be like, hey man, I'm going to screw this up, and it's going to hurt your score. I'm sorry. Before this even starts, right?
It's just what it is.
It's going to happen, yeah. Because it's just, you get guys that are that tired, under that much stress, it's just easy to make mistakes. So that's why you got to have that plan.
So I was going to ask you the concept for this thing. First of all, when did you come up with it? And what's the driving force when you talk about developing this whole thing?
Yeah, I think a lot of this came to our minds when we were spending a lot of time out on hunts that we did personally out in rifle season, and Daniel and myself talking at some of the hunts that we've done together for company hunts. And it's one of those things, like there's a lot of things, like I said, resources now for people in the archery world to go out and to do these challenges that allow you to take different shots that you might not take when you're sitting at your house shooting your block target for 3 hours.
Okay.
This is a similar thing. You go to the range, you sit at a bench, you shoot all day, then you get out in a situation where your heart's pumping and you don't have a rest and you got to lay your backpack down, and all those things are not stuff that you would do, and this is an ethical way to be able to do that.
You don't want to have to develop that skill real time when there's an animal out there.
Well, and that's not even developing the skill, right? You're being tested in that moment. It's not a development.
That's
a
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting the test without doing any studying and preparation for it.
Yep.
Yeah, so this creates that environment where you're going to be able to take a shot that you may not otherwise take in a situation when you're out hunting.
Let me ask you guys. One of the things I try to tell people, I said, look, there is an acceptable wobble that you don't learn about from the bench. You're waiting for it to be absolutely perfect. As a result, in hunting, I see people who could have made the shot, should have made the shot, but they're waiting for the crosshairs to completely go still.
Yes.
As opposed to just taking the shot.
And a cardboard deer is a lot able to keep still compared to a real 8-pointer standing out in front of you when your heart is racing and you're trying to hold that. Everything happens quickly.
But it is okay. You can have the crosshairs moving and make the shot.
And it's I see this a lot, especially in the hunting world, where people have not seen that movement until they get in the field, because they do nothing but shoot off of the bench. They zero their gun, then they go hunting. And so they've got years and years of experience of the only time that they're shooting is off a bench, perfect crosshair, perfect sight picture, and then they get out in the woods and that's not what they're seeing, and it's your brain saying, hey, I don't know, I haven't seen this before.
Not yet.
Let's get through this, and they rush the shot every single time.
They wait, and then finally just jerk it.
Because they're like, it's not getting better. Boom.
Right. It is. I know that you guys have terms for it, but there is like an acceptable amount of wobble, and if you're within that vital area, even though it's moving, just keep pressing the trigger and let it go.
Yep. And if it's not, have the discipline to go build a better position.
That's a good point. And are the contestants here, are they taking anything with them to help build a better position?
Yeah, they're going to have, like I said, they're going to have a multitude of things. They're going to have tripods at some stations. They're going to have backpacks. They're going to have bipods. They're going to have...
so they're carrying stuff with them?
They're carrying stuff in their backpack. They're going to have all the necessities.
Oh, so they get to hump that stuff up and down these hills.
It's going to be a ton of fun.
It really is kind of X-game-ish.
It is,
but with a good element of hunting ethics built in.
Yeah, and we added some elements to, I had mentioned all those other events that you see. Some of the really unique parts about this is we added in the backpack aspect, which creates more of that need for stamina. Mm-hmm. And then we also added in the tenting aspect, which...
Oh, we haven't even talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's living in tents here.
Everybody's staying in backpack-sized tents that allows you to get that feeling of, one of the things that Daniel talks about with that kind of mental getting yourself prepared in the morning. If you go and you sleep in a nice warm bed and you get up in the morning and you got to go, it's very different than if you wake up and you're trying to get changed in your small tent in the freezing cold.
Both of you guys are grinning. You're just you're evil. You're mean.
Oh, we're living it with them at least.
Oh yeah, we're down there with them. Yep. We're walking.
And I know we have at least one all-female team.
Yep. Yes.
So we're going to, in fact, I think Lena's going to join us a little bit later on. And you got people from like snowboarding and fishermen, professional fishermen. I mean, you pulled them in from all around.
It's all walks of life. We have UFC fighters. We have one of the greatest supercross racers of all time. We
Football
have
players.
Winners, football players, baseball players.
We're talking NFL guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is all across the spectrum. There are people from every walk. And that's why I said that's what made it so interesting. It would be very easy to pick one industry to say, yes, we can get a bunch of people who shoot in this industry, but to find the people in all these multiple industries that were interested in shooting and hunting, it's great. It just proves that firearms and hunting span so far across these industries.
That's a great point, and even more so now over the last year or two with all these new people, millions of new people buying guns, and some of them buy them and put them away and don't use them, but some of them go to the range and go, hey, this is kind of fun. And then you go, yeah, well, let me show you something else. Let me show you something else. And this Hunter Games, the Sig Hunter Games, what we're talking about right now, is a way to bring in, I would say, maybe a younger demographic, a more fit demographic, the adventure sports people, which is really what you're talking about here, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the way, a lot of what SIG is about has always been that. And when we got into the hunting side, I think it was for us, let's stay true to our roots. We're a military company that develops products. We have a certain demographic of people that appeal to our products, and we did the same thing here. We have that same appeal, but we also have the same high technology products we had on the military side. We're driving the business. We're not trying to be something we aren't. Even though we're in the hunting side, if you look at the technology and the scopes and the guns that we've done, we didn't leave who we were on the military side and the hunting side. Sure. It is the same type of mentality of better. And
of course, Daniel, you bring your experience with AMU and being in the Army and all, and bringing all that to this. And it's interesting when you guys can combine that with I was going to say the love of, but it's not even that, it's the passion for hunting. Because, I mean, when you have the passion, it's like some people like to hunt and some people must hunt. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's very true.
It's like there's a difference between hunting is what I do and being a hunter is what I am.
Yes.
And those people are going to hunt, just flat out. And we're seeing them go, getting the first light gear, all the high-tech clothing, all the stuff, and, hunting with suppressors and going up and down mountains. It's like a whole different generation of people doing things that 20, 30 years ago wasn't happening.
Yeah, and for what's occurred in the last year, it's actually been one of the positive things that's come out of all this mess of the COVID stuff going on is the hunting industry. So many more people have entered into it. Getting outdoors, sustainability of being able to get your own food, the adventure that they had maybe not ever said, I need to take the time and go do this.
Right.
It got a lot more people outdoors. We saw it in the fluctuation of hunter numbers across the country, but people are just becoming more interested in it.
Well, and to put a fine point on that, and there were a number of people who may not have even approved of hunting who said, oh, we can actually go out and get our own meat now?
Yes.
And you're seeing these online posts from people going, I never thought I would do that, but I tried it, and this is really fun, and, I'm liking the whole deal.
Yeah, last week when we saw that meat crisis all the hunters were grinning at home, and everybody else was like, what am I going to do? The meat costs are going up. It's a big deal. It's a very big part of hunting.
It's a good point. So and also, by the way, for people who say, well, I'd like to know more about it, we're going to be posting a lot of stuff online about it. Look up the SIG Hunter Games. Also, the Gun Talk video crew will be coming in today. We're going to be shooting a lot of video. We'll be posting that as well. And throughout the day here, we're going to be talking to some of the competitors and kind of talk with some of those guys. You guys have done a fantastic job. I mean, the course is incredible. It's going to be fun. It's going to be tough. People are going to enjoy this.
We have the best guy in the world set up the course sitting next to me here. This is going to be an amazing event. I think a lot of people are going to come out of here like, wow, how do I go do that?
It's going to be a ton of fun.
Daniel's going to be busy next year. He's got a lot of courses to set up.
There you go. Thanks, guys. This was terrific.
Thank you.